and set this.
Hello guys, Bob here for Tuesday Night Live. Thank you for choosing us to spend a little time with tonight. No doubt that tonight's guest is a crowd favorite. I've heard it said many times, and his presentations as a guest presenter for North Pole Cornerstones last month was an example. He never falls short of conversation that opens your mind and soul as a Christmas performer. The opening of tonight's show is brought to you by North Pole Cornerstones, a new, unique, and entertaining 4-day educational experience. This is Tuesday Night Live. Now let's move along and introduce the man that brings so much to this program each week. So effortlessly with his jokes, those funny moments that make us laugh. Oh yeah, he is always a crowd favorite too. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Spangle.
Hey guys, hello. Hey Bob, I got a question for you.
Yes.
In the alphabet, why was the letter E the only letter in the alphabet that Santa brought presents to?
I give.
Because all the other letters were not E.
All right. Very good. Okay, so are you ready for this tonight? This is going to be kind of different, something that we haven't done before. Actual in-house guest this week.
Hi, Angela.
Huh?
Are you not hearing me?
Hi, Angela.
Can you hear me, Spangle?
Yes.
Okay.
Y'all are confusing me.
All right. Well, I hadn't introduced Angela yet because joining us also tonight in the McMaster's household is our brother from Oklahoma, Scott Saratin, and he is sitting over this way. Can I see him? He's off screen. Do you have your camera?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and pull him up. He's logged in.
Angela, turn me on, dear.
Oh my gosh, I didn't need to hear that.
Hey, everybody.
There he
Great to
is.
be
There
here
he
in
is.
Texas with the McMaster's household and good old beautiful Angela, as always, our producer. And hey, let's all give her a big hand. She's done a great job in the past years, and we can't wait to move forward with her. And we can't do it without you, Angela. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, let's move along and get started here. Before we do, though, let's be sure and let everyone know that they can catch up on past shows and watch our weekly live shows live on YouTube at the Tuesday Night Live Show, 1225. First half of tonight's TNL Trivia is brought to you by School of Santa's, Branson, Missouri, where fun and education meets.
Read about it reporting for TNL Chatterbox News. School of Santa's 2025 will be held July 17th through the 20th in beautiful, picturesque Branson, Missouri, right in the heart of the Ozark Mountains. If you've been before, then you know all about the 4 days of festivities that School of Santa's is best known for. Each year, the host facility, Americ Inn by Wyndham, Branson, and Conference Center, is home to over 100 clauses for the weekend and is centrally located in the middle of everything Branson. If you have never attended SOS, what are you waiting for? You are missing out on one of the Claus community's premier educational opportunities. For more information on price and to ensure your place at the next School of Santa's, contact Tanya Lay at Branson Ticket and travel today at 800-432-4202. Again, that's 800-432-4202 and get registered today. I'm Read About It reporting. Now back over to you guys in the TNL studio.
Oh my gosh, Spangle, you and Bob, I can't believe it's almost here.
Branson?
We're almost ready to go to Branson. I mean, Spangle,
I'm
you
ready.
on with me saying, hey, don't forget this, don't forget that. Bob, you know, and Gatlinburg's what, this weekend?
Next weekend.
Up and
Next weekend.
Next
San
weekend.
Antonio tomorrow. It's a busy time of year for us.
Yeah, but Spangle, I'm looking so forward to go to School of Santa's this year.
Hey, I got an idea. Let's all race to Branson. We'll all get in our vehicles right now and go and see who wins.
Well, you got to give us a 6-hour start.
Oh my goodness.
Probably
All right. Hey, anyways, guys, tonight's trivia contest. We'll put your name in the hat for North Pole Cornerstones, and also it'll put your name in the hat for School of Santa's, which will be drawn pretty soon here, you know.
Yeah.
So anyways,
We need to look at the calendar and go 6 weeks out from the start of your school, and that will be it. I'll do that this week. Make sure we get that ready for next week.
yeah, it'll be right around the end of May sometime.
I just like
Yes. And I mean, we're packing it up. We got a good household right now. Anyways, the St. Nicholas trivia. The saint's name Nicholas is of Greek origin and means blank, blank, blank. And he was said to live how many years? Do you want them? Let's go throw those years in too, from what year to what year. All right. So St. Nicholas' name is of Greek origin, and the name means blank, blank, blank. And he was said to live how many years? So, and tell us how many years he lived, and what year and born, and what year he died.
Very good.
All
Yeah,
right.
there's that information down there, but I didn't put that in the requirements. But Spangle has made it a requirement now. First time this year, we went back to the blanks.
Blankety blank blank.
Yep.
All right. So find that.
This was St. Nicholas week, so that was a great question to have. So, guys, get your fingers working and come up with the answer for that for a chance for NPC drawing and School of Santa's drawing. NPC drawing will be held the last show of this year right here on TNL. So look forward to that.
You know what? And we might throw an extra prize out there because today was most awkward day. So if you want to put the message on there, your most awkward moment, and I'll pick which one I think is the most awkward, and we'll send an extra prize out to you. So most awkward moment, tell us about it.
All right, you ready to get started?
Hey, tonight's featured guest has been on this show many times and is always insightful. We love to get his perspectives and knowledge in topics that as entertainers can expand our backstories with facts and life's experiences. The better rehearsed the knowledge, the more believable their character and performance becomes. As mentioned last week, Bruce is at Bob and Carol's home in Texas, also joining them, Angela and Scott from the Anchor's desk. Please give us our warmest welcomes to Dr. Bruce Kotowich.
Well, good evening, everyone. How are you?
Welcome to the United States, Dr. Bruce.
Hey, thank you. So,
Yeah, quite a treat for us here to have Dr. Bruce in house with us. Of course, we just saw him back in February at North Pole Cornerstones, and we've had him on the show quite often, and never gets tired of seeing this face right here. This gentleman is one of the best, and we're glad to have him in our home. And it is such an honor to have you joining us from our home, where you are always welcome. We always welcome you. Anytime you come to Dallas, Texas, or in the Texas area and want to swing by. Starting the program off tonight, let's first talk about taking on character development as a Christmas entertainer. Character development has been a topic that several of our TNL network shows have been discussing because there are so many new folks coming into our industry, and we think that it's important to help them hit the ground with solid information in developing their character. That's the first thing I think that you really need to look at once you've decided to buy the suit and get started. So with that said, for those new to performing as Christmas characters to the seasoned performer looking to expand their character, that includes both ways, what would you say are the most important aspects in creating a compelling character with a backstory accompanied by physicality and gestures? It's a total package.
yeah, that's really a solid question, and it's a question that wasn't really talked about in previous years. And I think it's great that we're becoming more aware that we're more than just a prop sitting in a chair. The more that we work with other Christmas characters, the more we realize that we have to flesh out who we are. So the idea of character development for us, I think, whether you're brand new, you're about to go out this season or do Christmas in July for the first time, or you're a well-seasoned veteran, I think it's important that we continue developing our characters. We keep on digging in. We keep on living through this. Like if you think about Broadway performers, if you think about people who were in the show Cats, Les Mis, Phantom, shows that played for years. In the original Broadway company of Les Mis, there was one cast member who was there opening night and then finished off 20 some odd years later. And speaking with these artists, what's always coming through is that they're always delving into who are they portraying, what are the intersections, what is important to those characters. So I think what's important is for us to do as much reading of just whether it's a children's book, like a picture book, whether we're just internet surfing and looking for credible information, anything to build up a background story so that we could flesh out what's taking place. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, there's a lot of stuff that I subscribe to that I've come up with that is not documented, but it's based upon the stories of Santa Claus, the stories of the North Pole, the influence of St. Nicholas's presence when he was here with us. That's how I start to take a look at character development. I hate to say it, it's just a lot of homework. However, talking with a lot of you people, especially at Cornerstones, what I thought was so great was just sharing time with people that fellowship Bob, and just hearing some people's favorite books. We had a session on children's stories, which then our table started to talk about, well, what are other Christmas books? What are other Santa books, novels, historical fiction that we really like? All of that helps to flesh out characters. Now, moving it on to the physical and gestures, I think the physicality comes from looking at what does Santa do day to day? What does Mrs. Claus do day to day? What type of jobs, responsibilities do the elves have? I think for myself, one of the biggest epiphanies I ever had as Santa was actually being taken at Charles W. Howard School into a wood shop. Like, I hate to say it, in junior high, the wood shop course was not my favorite shop class. At the point, I thought I was going to be a concert pianist. The thought of shaving off a finger or two terrified me. But being in that experience with other Santas, Mrs. Clauses, and working on building a wooden toy, it really started to connect the idea of Santa as a toy maker and the physical nature of the work. So I think those types of experiences, if you need to, if you're living in a house you have to restore, this summer sand away at those hardwood floors. So I'm sure it'll give you that physical experience. So the idea is read, talk with other people, and just think about what's the day-to-day lives, and also think about why do they do what they do, which then should make you think, why do I want to be part of the Christmas characters and that entire world? How's that for starting?
That's great, and it reminds me of something that Jeff McMullen mentions, is that when he's at home doing household chores, he slips into character and practices how he would act vacuuming the floor or washing the dishes as Santa, and that keeps him polished and able to slip right into it when he needs to by practicing and knowing what body gestures and language and stuff that he wants to put out when he's performing.
And one of my best practice tools is a full-length mirror. And the thing is, like, if you think, okay, it's November 10th, my contract starts November 15th, okay, I'll start to put together a character. No, I like Jeff's idea that you do a few minutes here, a few minutes there, bit by bit, that slow adding on layers. That's what it's all about.
Very nice. Hey, so Bruce, how did you go about building your Santa body language and mannerisms? And what would you say is the best way to research Santa's body language and mannerisms to get examples, simply because, as a real bearded Santa, you can't go to the malls and stuff and watch the other Santas.
Right. And if you try to disguise yourself, you'll be probably picked up by mall security and treated as an unfriendly visitor. But in all seriousness, that can be a problem. But outside of the Christmas season, outside of the holiday season, and especially now, I was really kind of let down when I checked into the hotel, because I thought, this is gorgeous weather down here, and it'd be nice to sit outside, have a coffee and such. I people watch. I look at how people move, just how their physical nature, like at the airport this morning, watching all this crazed people trying to get through security, and what type of postures that you see people holding their bags, taking their shoes off, throwing their stuff into the bins, or trying to get redressed after they go through inspection. Just watching how people move and such, and you're thinking, well, first, that doesn't apply to Santa, Mrs. Claus, the elves. Well, when they're busy, they're panicked that they're trying to get the toy sacks loaded. Seeing how do people move when they're feeling a bit stressed, how does that animation take place? Other ways, again, people watch. And for me, I think the biggest influence for myself in developing my physical nature as Santa was watching my grandfather. There was just something about how he moved. The man lived till he was 98. And at 98, he was still mobile on his own. Sure, he had a cane, but just watching how he moved, and he would still be doing things around the house. He'd still be doing things outside. Just watching how people move. That's the biggest thing. And then with your full-length mirror at home, just try to mimic it, or just see how you could enter into that body.
Nice. Bob?
Hi, Bruce. I would add that creating a compelling character is an art that requires careful crafting, learning, and attention to detail, especially developing a character for theater and bringing that character to life. As the interim director of the University of Windsor School of Creative Arts, if a Christmas entertainer was considering expanding into theater or stage, would you recommend first attending improv classes or performing arts, or maybe even joining something like a Toastmasters International? Your thoughts on all these?
Okay, really good question there, Bob. You have to figure, the you is the you. You have to figure out, where do you want to start? Some of us are just naturals that we just kind of want to go into that improv and feel what appears to be total expanse with without any rules, without any barriers, which when you get into improv, you realize that's not the case. Others of us want to learn a technique. So like taking a theater class, introduction to theater or whatever. Or, realizing that, well, I'm more than just a cardboard cutout that people have pictures with. I remember when I first got started, one of the places, and this was before I really had any right doing anything in it and accepting any gratuity. They said, okay, now Sato, no, don't forget, we want you to introduce so-and-so and so-and-so. We want you to really punch this product. We want you to make the audience just feel really great. Susie Snowflake's coming out. We want all this. Yeah, there was copyright infringements at that job, so be careful about that. And I suddenly realized I'm not an MC. That doesn't come natural to me. So, starting off with something like a Toastmasters or some sort of focus group, I think the commonality between technique classes, improv, Toastmasters, is that you're working on a dedicated time with dedicated partners. So if you can get into those, if you feel comfortable right now doing that, great. But I think one of the best things, and during COVID, this is how I got back into practicing, was that Michael Howe and I got introduced through Zoom, and we would, every week or so, if it was a slow week, it would be more often, but we would actually practice visits on Zoom and practice different things on Zoom with each other and help each other out, comment, and be supportive. So I think the idea of practice, but you need to do it with someone. When you get to the point where you realize, okay, I need more, then look at the classes. And look at the classes that speak to you. Just because it says, oh, this class will be but you want more free form, look at the improv versus a theater technique course.
Great points. Scott?
Thank you. Bruce, while doing your portrayal as Santa, when choosing to incorporate other members of your Claus family, for instance, Mrs. Claus, or an elf, or elves, plural, what do you recommend is the best way to bring them up to speed to complement your portrayal and performance? Let me add, we're speaking of new folks coming into the industry.
Well, honestly, Scott, it applies to us old grizzled veterans too. The biggest thing, I think, is we have to talk with each other. We have to just sit down and talk about who we see ourselves as. We listen to the people that we're going to start building a relationship with on the platform, on stage. Okay, I know some of you are probably thinking, well, you're turning this into a theater performance, and that's artificial. The thing is, our responsibility is to create realism. We need to be sincere. We need to be honest about what we're doing. We are not acting, but we are having conversations. We're basically, to me, the ultimate highest form of improv is conversation. And that is something that our society doesn't prize. Think about how often do you and your family, you and your spouse, your partner, sit down and have a meal? Do you do it every day? If you do, great. Do you do it 3 times a day? Wonderful. If you have like Sunday as your big gathering with the family, even better. But the idea that conversation is improv. Now, to tie this back, you suddenly find out, oh, I've been invited to this event, this event, and they're going to have an elf or two. We're going to have I'm going to have a spouse with me. You need to, whether it's just for yourself, for your own comfort, so that things become second nature, that your reactions become subconscious. The reason for practicing, the reason for doing research, just reading stories, isn't to be bookish or to turn it into an academic pursuit. What it is that you're creating this so that it becomes second nature, so that as soon as you are prepared to be that Christmas character, it just takes place. But you need to get information from the other people that you'll be working with. Yes, it's true, you'll be working with the entire audience. But the fun part about that, that's where the improv, that's where the conversation starts. But with the other people, invest in yourself. Take originally, like at first, we say, oh, listen, let's just do a half-hour call. And it turns into 45 minutes. It turns into an hour and a half because it just ricochets and it starts building. That's even more character building because you're getting your interaction with the other person and it's helping challenge your thoughts, your ideas. How does, think of it as a game of pool. You could shoot a ball across that table, or there could be several balls and you shoot that ball into several balls and you see how the pattern reacts and where everything moves. So give yourself the opportunity not just to build your network of friends and colleagues, but build the creative juice to think about how do your ideas that you've got at present become affected, become influenced, become inspired by working with other people.
Bruce, something you mentioned just in your little answer to my question is that I never thought about was the dinner with family. I work with the same people every year, but we don't ever get time to practice till we're on the job. So to me, if I could take that elf and Mrs. Claus and myself and go have dinner a couple of times before the season, just to kind of recap and go in and eat in the restaurant and never come out of character.
Yeah.
In street clothes, when people ask you a question, where are you from? The North Pole. Why do you ask?
Well, listen,
that's all improv.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Scott, I have to say you are the only person in my entire career that has said a little answer. Usually all my students say, oh, you go on forever. But thank you. I'm really good about that. But that idea of going with your team out in the off season, do not do this during the Christmas season, in the off season, because the ploy is you've come down from the North Pole just to have supper, to have lunch out, and you think you're not going to be recognized.
Well, now, Scott, if you're buying dinner, I'll be your elf.
You better get you a pointed hat.
Oh, Spangle.
But no, I thought that was a great. I never thought about that, but it's a great time because, like when my Mrs. Claus and I go out, Linda, Linda.
Yeah.
When we go out and do this, somebody will ask me something and it throws me into character immediately, and Linda just hops right in and improvs it. She jumps right in character with me, and it makes it so much easier when you're working. But if we had an elf or two that we just, it's more like practice. But that's the place to practice is when you're in the public's eye, and usually it's the elves you got to work with to keep them in character. You saw my elf at North Pole Cornerstone,
yeah,
and she gets the character.
She's a firecracker, yes.
So, anyhow, but thank you because I never thought about doing the dinner thing, and I will. We're going to do that.
Well, the thing is, like whenever I've played Beast in Beauty and the Beast, yeah, thank you, Spangle. Just myself, whether it's at home, practicing that dinner scene, trying to eat soup. It really changed it from being in rehearsal and thinking, okay, doing this. But when you're at home and you're alone and you've got tomato soup drizzling down your face, you go back to rehearsal with a totally different posture for that scene.
All right. Well, Bruce, there are some who have decided to change their voice for a character. What about speech patterns and developing your character voice? As performers of any character that you might portray, how can you go about developing a vocal style other than your natural voice? And I'm guilty of this because I'm told that I'm in English or Scottish because I'll be saying things. Come, children, let's all gather around here for a story.
Very good question.
Bruce, I got in trouble for this, so I want to hear your answer.
See, and this is where I'm going to have voice coaches and teachers saying yes, and others going, ooh, turn in your degree. To be believable, we have to be natural. You know, I still think of, and sorry for using social media, social commentary references, but I don't know if you folks remember when John Lovitz used to be on Saturday Night Live, and he played the character of the actor, the great actor, making fun of all these great Shakespearean actors, these great British actors. And everything, like every time that he did a spot on Saturday Night Live in that sketch, all the characters were the same bad acted things. Vocally, I do not subscribe to people saying, I want to sound just like you. My voice is what my voice is. It's at a certain timbre, I speak at a certain pitch. I try to get modulation and so forth. But a person with a high voice trying to artificially press their voice down and speak lower all of the time is going to cause vocal damage. Just as when I thought I should have been a lyric baritone singing these incredible romantic roles, and I kept losing my voice because I was singing outside of my range. We do the same thing speaking. But Spangle, what you brought up, which I think is really important, is the idea of changing modulation. So what's the cadence to our voice? Do we want Santa, Mrs. Claus, not the elves, but just have a lilting voice? Maybe for Mrs. Claus. Do we want a more firm, pointed type of cadence? I think that would scare the daylights out of children, personally. But, you know, as you play with the voice, and again, at home, talk to yourself. Make your family think, oh, maybe we should call the home a few years sooner than what we thought. But whatever, just practice with these types of things. If you're going to change dialects, or people say use an accent, if you're going to use a dialect, you need to make sure it's consistent all the way through. And you need to ensure yourself that for the entire season and for repeat visitors, that you could keep it consistent. That's where I think that's where the danger is there. Now, using a slight alteration, taking just common everyday street English, and then raising the level of the quality of the English. That's different. You're not trying to speak with a British accent, or you're not trying to speak with a Swedish accent and have your little visits. And what do you want for Christmas? It needs to be real. It needs to be natural from you. And what's natural for Bob, what's natural for Scott, is not natural for Spangle. Boom. How's that sound?
I try to talk with a little bit of like an English or something accent because I don't want to sound like I'm here in Missouri in the Ozarks and hey, I would like to have some cookies and some of that cow juice, you know. So I try to say a little bit of an accent to it, but I try to speak a little more formally too. Don't use the word kids. I use the word children. I want to be more like profound in the wording that I use. That's exactly what I'm trying to say here, is that, you know, the idea of the elevated English, like in conversation, we'll say little. Look at all those little kids over there. Well, but elevated English, the T doesn't become D. It is a T. Look at all those little children over there versus look at all those little children over there. Can you kind of hear a difference with that? Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what you're doing, Spangles, is that you're not trying to be a character out of My Fair Lady. You're not trying to teach Eliza Doolittle how to speak proper English. What you're doing is that you're trying to set a more formal nature to the conversation. You're trying to expand that character so that there's more of an old world presence to it, and not just a common street person that you would meet as you're passing your parking ticket to get out of the parking lot.
Right.
So,
I know.
yeah.
I filled in at one of the big box stores one time, and I asked the guy that was taking the pictures while I was Santa. We did this really cute picture with this child where he's laying on my boots, and I said, "Could you print an extra one of those, and I'll pick it up after the set?" And then I went up and was talking to him after the thing, after I was all unmade, and I was in a designer beard at that time, so I didn't have a real beard. So I could walk up there even though the new Santa was on the set, and I asked him about that picture, and he was like blown away. He goes, "Wait a minute, you have an accent." No, I don't. But he just thought I did the whole time, you know.
Well, and I think for you, Spangle, that goes back to when you was a traditional bearded Santa, the actual Santa suit or the clothes that you wore was more of an old world Santa, and that's kind of where I think you started developing that, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably so.
See, and and we haven't even started to talk about costuming yet. And just wait, costuming not in a sense, okay, and all of our tailors are going to get really angry about this. Not in the sense that we should go out and buy a brand new suit every year, because if I could, I'll tell you, if I didn't have to tell Jennifer, look what I just bought, or Jennifer saying, what's on the visa? Sure, I'm a clothes horse. I would be buying clothes left, right, crazy. But what we need to think about is that how does the clothing of that period, how does the clothing of that person, how does the footwear affect everything? Yeah, sorry, we're starting to get off onto other areas, but we will circle back to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I used to throw my voice, Bruce, when I was on set portraying Santa, and I found that it's a lot more work to try to remember that that's what you're doing, and so it's just easier to be myself. Bob kind of taught me that, because when we first started the show, I used to, I have a DJ business too, and I used to, when I first started hosting the show before Bob, and I had got into Scouts, but I threw my voice, and it was a DJ voice type thing, and more like, "Welcome to Saturday Night Live. It's Bob McMasters. Here's Monty Hall," or whatever, and that's what I used to do. And Bob said, "Just talk, Scott, just talk." So I've learned that in my portrayal too, and I find it's much easier to keep my head together and I don't have to think to speak to a child.
Yeah, that very first show we did, we went live, and Scott, bumps out there with this DJ voice, and we all just kind of looked at each other like, "Where did that come from?" And then, after we got off of the live, I looked over at him and I said, "DJ voice? Come on, man, just be yourself."
So that was a lesson for my portrayal, and it's helped me. But Bob's been my mentor since I started, and that's a whole nother story for another time, because he lied to me, taught me to go into Spangles, and told me that he was just going to hang out with me and teach me the ropes, and he was a teacher of the class.
Bob, just take a look at a picture of us. Don't we look like two other celebrity types that are very popular right now, like Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey? What do you think?
I like that.
I think so. The Kelsey brothers of the Claus world.
I wish we had.
Hey, you do realize they sold their podcast. They get paid $1 million to do their podcast now.
I'll say the fame's not that much. It's all about the money for me, man. Show me the money.
Oh man, really? Okay.
All right, let's move along here. Bruce, would you agree that keeping an open mind, being willing to take risks, and explore new techniques is part of the growth opportunities, but character development is a lifelong process? With that being said, you being an accomplished actor, what is your favorite part of portraying Santa?
First of all, I really am pleased that we're telling everyone, and we're confirming for everyone, that we're never finished. we're always a work in progress. The idea of fearing change, there are times in our lives that we just want to have consistency. Why does it have to change all the time? I know I feel like that at times. But, through that idea of staying open, being willing to be vulnerable like that. And the thing is, like, you're not expected to be vulnerable when you're out there doing it and so forth. But as you're working on this, as you're doing your development, as you're doing your homework with this, being open to it, I think is so important, because that's when you learn the biggest lessons. When you reflect after a visit, that's when you go back to the vulnerable stage. And you think about what took place, what you would do differently, and why, or why you would keep what you're doing and keep on nurturing that. What motivates me to keep on portraying Santa? I think it's one of the first things that I ever felt when I went out that first year. I didn't realize the impact that we have on our visitors. I remember seeing one little girl. In her eyes, I was Santa. At that moment, I was Santa to her. And, we always tell everyone, we need to be good listeners. We need to do all these things. But we need to be good active listeners. And what threw me was she just had no problems just striking up a conversation. And just that vulnerability and realizing that this is a gift that we've been given, and it's a great responsibility. So I still thank God all the time of being able to be part of people's lives like this, to sometimes and very often being a support person when we don't even realize that we are being a support person.
You've also portrayed Saint Nicholas. Another role that you've taken on has very well been well documented. But let's throw that same question there. What's your favorite part about portraying Saint Nicholas?
What I like, what attracted me to that was, again, growing up and having Saint Nicholas visit around December 5th, December 6th on his feast day. What I like doing with my St. Nicholas visits is going beyond just the questioning of, do you know your catechism? Do you know the Ten Commandments? Do you know the Beatitudes? Do you know Psalm 130? Well, no, that's kind of a dark one from Out of the Depths. But like just hardcore church things, stuff that's taught in grade 5 catechesis class versus grade 10 world religions. But taking it and just saying, well, okay, so you're not getting along with your brother and sister, and I guess extending my role as an educator and saying, well, why aren't you and your brother and sister getting along? Oh, she's wanting more privacy. Oh, she wants to have her own things. And just talk about, well, you're both growing, you're both changing. So the idea that Nicholas isn't just an old icon or in the Eastern Church or an old statue in the Western Church, but he is a living, breathing person that walked with us, whose philosophies have influenced us to this day and will continue to.
Scott, on this next question, the IE was basically just footnotes for us to look at, so you don't have to read it.
Well, yeah, I know, and you did me a very justice of a spelling challenge or a pronunciation.
So you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry what's in black, just what's in
I'm not going
green.
to worry about it. But Bruce, kind of to change gears a little bit, Saint Nicholas is known for his generosity and miracles, and his respect and admired across both Western and Eastern Christian traditions, as well as in the Orthodox churches. will you talk about how your teachings and presentations, you talk about the different ways these churches and religions have shown their respect and admiration?
Well, for me, Nicholas is one of my patron saints. Um, and for my religious culture, this is one of my superheroes. I know people think, well, church superhero. Well, yeah. Someone who is able to affect change, someone who is able to look out for other people. Like I will admit, I've got this shining white knight syndrome that, and I think even as an administrator, as a conductor, that I have to be careful that I don't get into that unnecessary habit that people sometimes need to work things out on their own. But the idea that Nicholas's example, his care, his idea of what community is, still speaks to us. I think that is so important. Why is Nicholas outside of just Catholicism and Orthodoxy? Well, because I think he's got a pan-world view that speaks to all religious cultures, that this is what all religious cultures are striving for. And even for non-religious people, from all sorts of backgrounds, whether, doesn't matter what faith system you're using, his ideas and principles speak to all people. I'm making sure that I've got all this. Okay. So if we take a look at Nicholas, the icons that we see are products of the Eastern Orthodox Church. I think I sent you guys a picture of an icon. Is that available or not? No. Okay, that's fine. But if we look at these icons, again, and I'm not an iconographer, but just being at church and family members having the different icons of Nicholas, we always see this male balding patterned man with white hair, kind of a medium length bushy beard, but he's always dressed as an Eastern Orthodox bishop. Nicholas was a bishop of the church. And in these icons, these are basically the original surreal paintings. So if we look at it, they're trying to tell us all sorts of information. If you see these icons, you'll see that he's always wearing a stole. And this stole, the homophorion, has 4 crosses on it. The bishop is given that when they are called to be bishop and they are anointed and ordained to be bishop. With Nicholas, if you look at these icons in his left arm, he's holding on to the gospel books. His right hand is the same peace and blessing sign that has been assigned to Christ in different artworks. But you'll also see that when you look at icons, the left-hand side of the icon, you'll see a smaller person on his shoulder. That is the image of Christ. And if you look carefully, you see Christ handing Nicholas the gospel books. Christ is telling Nicholas, you have a mission in this life. The other shoulder, in the Orthodox Church, the Theotokos, the Western Church. Thank you. That's it. Yes.
Angela, you can pull it up. It's down in the.
Wonderful.
There you go.
There you go. You see the Blessed Virgin Mary holding his stole, saying, "You're being called to be a bishop. You're being called to not only serve your people, but to keep the health of the community alive." We also see in this icon, this one is from about the 15th century. And first of all, as we share these types of images, we share information, we need to get into the habit of acknowledging where they're from. So this is a 15th century Greek Orthodox icon. The title is Saint Nicholas the Wonder Worker. As we hear that, the Middle Ages, he was known as Wonder Worker. That was his nickname. It's always stayed, and this is found at the Gregorio Monastery on Mount Athos in Greece. But you also see around the edges, these are different apostles, saints, other people that come to our aid through prayer. The background of gold shows his purity, and then you will see on the right-hand side, you see his name Nico, and I will not translate that because that's the question for today, isn't it? Yes. And then we see other Greek words which I do not speak Greek, and I did not get translations on that. You also see that in the gold that he does have a halo showing his purity and also knowledge. So this type of image, this type of idea, the intention of what he was doing, caring for those in the community who needed a hand up. The three girls, the dowry, saving sailors. You know, we look at his patronage. He's now the patron of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, children, brewers, pawnbrokers, toy makers, single people, and students. Not just one group of society. This huge group of society, and not all parts of society that we think, oh yeah, let's have them in for Sunday supper with us, but people that he would really reach out to. I think as Christmas performers, we need to adopt that idea of reaching out to the community. The people that visit with us, they need to understand that they are part of life, that they do have certain needs. The innocence of children wanting like a real special toy. Just shows needs, showing the ideas of what can bring them joy. The judging part, whether they need a toy or not, that's up to the parents. Honestly, I try to never promise anything, just to say, you know, things will come to you in due course. Scott, am I answering what you're wanting, or is...
Yeah, I think that
you covered it.
pretty much covered it all.
Because, you know, like we could go on, like this, like all of these questions. Honestly, these
Come to
are
North
fine
Pole
questions.
Cornerstones and you'll hear a lot more. How about that?
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Is that pretty close, Bruce?
Very, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yes.
And it's sort of why we're doing this tonight, is to show you the knowledge that Bruce has and the experience in portraying these characters, and research, development that he's done. And this is just a very, very small portion of what he's done at North Pole for us. And so looking forward to future sessions with Bruce coming up in the near future.
You know,
And I don't want to say you're second to anybody, but I think your knowledge is becoming very close to Phil Wentz.
wow, thank you. Thank you. Can I just tell people, and now the word research, us in academia have tried to keep it special just to us. By you going over to a bookstore, hopefully a local bookstore, locally owned, and picking up a children's book, a children's Christmas book, a children's holiday book, a children's Hanukkah book, a children's Kwanzaa book. By the way, Patrick Moss, if you ever want to hear the best explanation and the way to tie Kwanzaa into our own lives, you need to meet Patrick Moss. He is the person. Just love meeting Patrick. Or going on to the internet and
What was his name again?
Sorry?
The name again?
Patrick Moss?
At Moss.
Okay.
Pat Moss?
Now. Okay, did we not have a Patrick Moss from Oklahoma for a while too? Did we
Nice
not
from
have
Texas.
a Santa?
No, he's from Texas, from Houston.
He's from Houston. He's watching tonight. Say hi to him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is he
Hey,
on?
That's
is that the same person you're talking about?
Yeah.
He was at our school the last
okay.
2 years also.
He blew me away.
So,
That is
Yeah.
research. Hearing other people talk. surfing the internet and just saying, oh, well, what about Santa in Finland? What about Santa? What about St. Nicholas? What about, like Mrs. Claus's name? Looking through stuff, that's research. So don't think that you've got to do an Indiana Jones and you have to go to Bari and spend thousands of dollars, or you have to try to get yourself into Turkey right now. Just reading stuff and just finding stuff and sharing things. That's research.
Can I add something else about Cornerstones? Jim Langley, you know Jim, and Jim is very knowledgeable, and he's a doctorate of history. He's got a doctorate in history, and Jim is going to come back to Cornerstones this year, and he's going to. I spoke to him tonight on the way here and told him I was there. He, by the way, said hello to everyone. But Jim is looking at talking about and bringing the Jewish side in and explaining how a Jewish Santa relates to how St. Nicholas was a gift giver and to the less fortunate. And I'm not going to say much more of that, but it hit home for me. Don't know why, but it did.
Well, in my opening monologue, I mentioned that, I've heard it over and over and over said again about Bruce and never getting tired of listening to what he has to offer, because he takes you to that next level. He opens your mind up and makes you think about things that some folks may not think is important as a portrayer of Santa. But really and truly, I mean, if you're going to know the history, if you're going to know the character, if you're really going to become the embodiment of that character, you need to know these things. And I heard so many folks that came to Cornerstones and folks that have watched the programs here that said that they want more of Bruce, Dr. Bruce, and Dr. Jim. That the St. Nicholas, the Eastern Western Orthodox, the transition into Santa Claus, the whole story is fascinating because that's where our roots go. That's where it all began, was with St. Nicholas. So,
Can I also say, don't be in a rush. Don't be sitting there thinking, well, I don't know these things. Well, what's wrong with me? You're human, and you're starting to get excited about learning more. That's where the kick is. That's wow, like just digging in more. Like I'm down here in Dallas for a biennial conference for my adult job in choral music, and I'm just raring to start tomorrow morning at 9:15 and hear all these concerts of new music and music revision. So take that innocence, be like our visitors, take their innocence and their excitement and put it towards your work here. I've talked a lot. It's already an hour of it. It's been an hour of me talking.
Well,
sorry.
This might be a good place to take a break. I do want to say real quick before we do take the break, Pat Moss is watching, and we had him in San Antonio this year do a presentation, or he did a presentation that I had never seen before, and it was quite fascinating. It was on Kwanzaa, and it was a breakout session, a workshop combined, and hats off to you, Pat, for that presentation, and we're looking forward to you expanding that next year. I know you said that you'll be coming back again, and we appreciate that, so just want to give kudos to Pat for that. All right, let's take a quick break right here. Don't go away. There's lots more to cover on the other side of this break, including Showstopper Special and our second trivia. We'll be right back.
Stay here.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main event. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pocket I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, StuffForSanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on. I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. StuffForSanta.com. Merry Christmas. Christmas.
Hello, guys. Tonight's free prize for the trivia with me, we're going to give out one of these hats. These are really cool. It's got what they call the 3D printing. It's got the snapback. This one says believe. We also have it in yes, I am. You know, when they ask you, are you Santa, just point to the hat. Yes, I am. The 3D printing or embroidery is very, very cool because it really stands out. Nice and clean look. And then, of course, we have Santa. $20. If you're not the winner of the trivia, these are only $20. We'll ship it to you free.
So don't ruin it for the
But anyway, so there we go. That's
One question for you. Spangle, I have one question for you.
what's that?
How do you do it so cheap?
I don't know. We're not in it to make money. We're in it to make friends.
Okay, well, that's
All
how
right.
we appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Anyways, tonight's Christmas movie quote. We need the title and who said it. Needs both actor's name and character's name. So there's really 3 questions to this, okay? Okay. It's Christmas time, Theo. It's time for miracles. It's Christmas time, Theo. It's a time for miracles. So, anyways, get to work and get to typing. Put your answers in there.
So you want the movie title, Spangle, and who said it, and you need both actors' names and character names, correct?
Well, there's one actor, but we need both the actor name and the character name.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that for everybody.
Yeah.
The who said it is the actor and the character, so it's the same person. I need their street name and their character acting name, or the character.
Well, you know, their street name may be different than their name that you see, you know?
This is true too.
So you might not need their street name, but you need their actor name and the part they played, the name they played in.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So is it me, or are these trivia questions becoming more like a certification exam? Because I'll tell you, like, I remember a couple of years ago, it was so easy. And now it's like this and that and this and that. Plus, you have to do this. Plus, you do the translation and all this.
We're teaching.
Well, we got it to where it was just too easy for everybody to win.
Ah.
So it was just a matter of who could do it faster. Now we want you to think about it a little bit.
Well, it started off as the Scott Parker rule, and it kind of evolved into the A.J. Bayless rule. So the harder we make them, the harder it is for them to come up with that answer real quick. They have to do a little research. And with Spangle giving away such nice stuff, and then on the first question, of course, being worth a scholarship, $450 equivalent for Cornerstones and $459 equivalent for School of Santa. So we want to make them where it's not something that's really, really, really simple. And I did make it easy the first couple of weeks. Now we're starting to get into the season, though. So, okay, as Dr. Bruce said, we've chatted along here for quite a while. It's always fascinating, interesting, and how quick can an hour go by? So let's go ahead and jump into the second half of tonight's program with our featured guest, Dr. Bruce. And over to you, Scott.
Yeah, Bruce, last month we all attended North Pole Cornerstones, and you said you would like to talk about your experience as a guest presenter and attendee. Can you also elaborate about the whole weekend, starting with the Santa Uber from, I'm sorry, I have to giggle, but the Santa Uber from the airport to our Saturday night on the Riverwalk to Sunday's graduation dinner and to coming back to 2026 to present again. Sorry, that was a mouthful, wasn't it, Bruce?
Let's just kind of go with that and see what all happens. You just have to keep me on course here. Okay, so I took the first flight out of Detroit to get down to San Antonio. It was a direct flight, thank goodness. But it takes from Windsor to go through the tunnel and customs and such. Sometimes it takes a while. So this was, I think, like the 5:30 flight or the 6:30 flight. So I was up like about 3 in the morning. I had a rehearsal night before until 10 o'clock, and I realized, like this morning, I hadn't packed yet. So I was up till about noon, up at 3, head out. So got to San Antonio. I left Windsor with snow on the ground. Got to San Antonio, and it was like I walked into a different world. And yes, Scott, the Uber driver, was there, and he said, "We're picking up 2 other people." So this is where I met Tracy McKenzie. Again, just another mensch, just another great person. And then Trish. And Trish is a blast. Oh my goodness, she was so good for the entire time. Just again, just a great spirit, positive, insightful comments, just wonderful. So we get to the hotel, and then I realized that wow, the conference starts at 1 o'clock, and it's like 12:30, and Mike and I are supposed to lead the national anthem and so forth. So it was hitting the ground running. And the entire 4 days was it didn't feel rushed, but it was well balanced, great schedule, and a ton of information. I was just impressed with the variety of the classes. We had time to actually get into material, dig into the material. Just meeting other people, and I loved the flipped classroom idea that, sure, there was a bit of lecture, but there was also a lot of table work. And I appreciated moving from one part of the ballroom to the group areas where we were at round tables. Because, we did the assignments, but I think what we learned more was we learned from each other more, and we learned about each other, and we learned, or we saw different perspectives, and people let us into their lives just to see different perspectives. That blew my mind. The river walk, oh my goodness, like I was just at one point, and I know that a few people were kind of getting miffed that I wasn't leading carols. Vocal rest, you have to take care of the voice. But I was just kind of like lounging back, and I just thought, how do I tell Jennifer that we should buy a condo here, on the Riverwalk? It was the balance of just going for it and then enjoying each other's company was so important. But I think one of the biggest things was 4 of us, and I hope you guys don't mind here, and Angela. Mike Hutchings, Sean White, Betsy Garner, and her Mensletsky. That's very Mensletsky.
You do a better job with it than I do.
Her husband's Polish, I'm Ukrainian. It should be easy for me. We have now formalized our group. So we are now establishing the Claus Consortium group, where we're taking tradition through research, through practice for better performance. And Bob, Angela, Scott, Deanna, all of you involved with Cornerstones, you're kind of the catalyst to bring us all in. So like some of the ideas that we've been talking about today about, working with other performers, we were, yes, Mike, Sean, and I, back in August for the MAPS Red Suit Conclave, started that initiative, and we're just saying, well, how can we move this forward? How can we take it from just being cardboard cutouts that you have pictures taken to a slice out of their life at the North Pole? And seeing how that develops and how that expands our characters and making things take place. So the 4 of us we come from diverse backgrounds, but we have so many intersections. Betsy with her MFA in theater, Sean's marketing, and yeah, Sean knows how to market and the character development and so forth. Mike, as a social worker, as a performer, like touring with incredible artists, and his performance work, his theater work, all come in. And the four of us are able to take our different areas and um, show people how it's actually a lot more fun being with others as we're doing this and not just being solo acts. Let's face it, we will always be called for solo work, but you know what? When you get to play with each other, it's
Easy,
so
Bruce.
much more fun. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't want to be Scott Jr. But just that interaction and the synergy and the energy. So and just like what a great platform for us to say, well, what if we look at just posture, just like what does your footwear do for you? So like, if you're wanting to practice posture and how your character moves. And I really appreciated Sean reminding me to share with everyone at Cornerstones that the footwear that you wear and whenever I've been in shows, next to getting my script, the next thing that I'm sent from the costumer is my footwear for that character. So I start to walk in their shoes. So the phrase that we just said, well, you don't know what it's like until you walk in their shoes. Well, honestly, we really don't. So if you want to do like what Jeff Mullins does and practices a bit every few days, pull your boots on, pull your pointy shoes on, and go for it. So, but yeah, Cornerstones. It was the like I joke about the Claus Consortium group as being the perfect storm. Like we're the microcosm of what Cornerstones was that all the right people came with the right attitudes. Mm-hmm. It was so nice to have fellowship and not feel okay. I need where are my business cards? I need to pass them out. That didn't exist. It was like we could just be us.
It becomes a big family, is what we've learned in the past 2 years or 2 sessions. And when I say a big family, is you don't need business cards because you learn everybody's name, and everybody's like a brother and sister on one that first name basis. And those that didn't, sorry to interrupt you, Bruce, but those that didn't see Cornerstones and didn't see these people perform, you just don't. These are 4 people that have never really worked together, and they went on stage and did their portrayal like they'd been together 50 years.
Thank you.
It was amazing. Yeah. And not only did they do it on stage, when they were in their suits, they left the room, went in the lobby of the hotel, and did lives from the lobby of the hotel, and never left character. Even the Tooth Fairy didn't leave character. I mean, it was just amazing how they meshed together, and it's, and I don't mean to toot Cornerstone's horn, but if we had not had all of you come, none of us would have been able to experience what you gave us. And I thank you all for that.
Well, it was a wonderful safe space. And, as Christmas performers, one of Nicholas's calls was to create safe spaces. And thank you to the organizing team for creating a safe space for us.
Okay, so just want to mention that Trish, by the way, is Nikki. I believe I got that correct. You had mentioned her. She was one of the 2 NPC scholarship recipients, and so therefore she had mentioned to me prior to her winning that, being awarded that particular scholarship, that she didn't think she was going to be able to come because of financial other things that were going on at the time, and so it was wonderful that she was able to make it, and we were so glad to have her. And Billy Green down in Central Texas was the Santa Claus that got the scholarship. So don't think scholarships aren't real. They're out there. Everyone try to take advantage of that. Spangle, I'm going to skip that next question because we just covered it. So go on into your next.
Well, let's talk a minute about them. About the many vendors we had and the door prizes donated and contributed to the Roy Maas Youth Charity.
Yeah, we had the Roy Maas Youth charity that we had last year. We went into San Antonio thinking, well, don't want to just come down here, not do something for the community. And so with the help of the Getzes, Gene and Janet, who live fairly close to the hotel that we've been at the last couple of years, they had talked to us about the Roy Moss being in that neighborhood and how they had contributed to it in the past. And so we took that charity on. 2 years straight now, we have filled Gordon Bailey's big full-size cutter sleigh full of stuff. And we just want to say thank you to everyone who brought stuff last year and this year and contributed to the Roy Moss. As far as those vendors go now, we had one vendor that we had to move out in the hallway. He was just too loud, too much trouble. We had to put him somewhere where we could get him away from everybody else, right?
And he just gives out his stuff freely and just lets people pay whenever they feel like paying him. Thank you, Spangle.
But we did. We had good vendors this year, and we appreciate all the vendors. It's something last week and on the Monday show, I thanked a lot of folks. But I think I didn't mention the vendors but once. So we want to make sure that everyone knows that the vendors were over the top, and we want to say thank you to all the vendors who showed up and contributed to North Pole Cornerstones. Now, so much for that.
Bob, don't forget our sponsors.
And our sponsors, I guess we should go ahead and mention the sponsors real quick since we're on Cornerstones. Of course, SantaClausette.org was one of the sponsors who sponsored the Milk and Cookies for Thursday night after hours activities. We had Larry Talbert, who sponsored the donuts and hot chocolate the next night after hours activity. And we had sponsors for both boats, two boats to put everyone in this year to do the Riverwalk ride. And one was sponsored by Gina Bacon at Nationwide Santas. The other one was sponsored by Mitchell Allen, Santa Allen at Hire Santa. And we want to say thank you to those folks. Did I miss anybody other than the bus?
Well, you threw me under the bus, so it works.
You got Gina, right?
The bus, we had a sponsor for the bus this year, and they remained anonymous. None of us to this day know who paid it, but it got paid, and we appreciate whoever that was. Thank you so much. All right. Is there anything
before
that
you
we haven't
run
covered,
off,
Bruce?
if anybody wants to sponsor something next year, reach out to Bob or Deanna or myself, and we will be more than happy to let you know what we're looking for. It could be cookies and milk, could be a barge. We're looking at possibly moving downtown to the Riverwalk, not out public yet, but and I kind of let the cat out of the bag on that, but that's not for sure. We're working with 3 different hotels at this point. And
I think you're looking for one big sponsor that will cover all the attendees' hotel, right?
Are you
exactly?
Are you offering?
And thank you so much for volunteering.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that, buddy. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Scott and I will be traveling down to San Antonio tomorrow to scope out 2 other hotels that we've gotten bids from. Simply because why close the door? Why not look and see? They've reached out and
we're growing, Bob. We're growing. The school's growing. So
the school's growing.
The thing about it
that's
is
something
we're
we've
going
got
to
to look at in the
more
future
space.
because we've just about maxed out at the Marriott. So anyway, with all that said, is there anything that we haven't talked about you wanted to cover?
One thing that Mike Hutchings put into the conversation earlier, after our quartet did our session, we were visiting with everyone at the school. Then when the rest of the morning carried forward, we were heading back to our rooms and so forth, and it was just we just needed a coffee. So here we are in that atrium at the Starbucks, and the 4 of us in full character still sitting there having Starbucks. Guests coming by who were not part of North Pole Cornerstones asking what we were doing, and Sean and Betsy had some of the greatest replies to the people going back and forth, just saying, well, we're just, we took the weekend off to just come down south and things like that. And of course, Mike was wonderful as Phineas, as always. So, it's just, it's a great atmosphere.
The Santa was amazing too, Bruce.
That's what I heard. Good. Thank you.
You didn't catch him.
No, I slept in that day.
But anyhow, is there anything else you'd like to mention?
I just want to thank all of you here. This is kind of serendipitous how all this worked out, that I just showed up on the doorstep here, but the hospitality is wonderful. So,
Thank you.
if you're wondering what it's like really behind the scenes here at TNL, come to North Pole Cornerstones. You'll be experiencing some of the most gracious people.
And the entertainment on Thursday night was amazing, and the performers that performed were stupendous, and they were even from out of the country. It was great.
Wow,
We're in this world.
an international school. I love it.
Well,
No, it was a lot of fun. Mike and I had. Mike, I'm just going to speak first. We had a lot of fun. So,
and us that can't carry a tune, they covered us up with their beautiful vocals. So Bob and I were saved. Anyhow, let's go to our viewers and see what they have. Any questions or comments?
Starting off, first one we have starred over here that our producer has starred is from Trish, and she's just saying hi to Dr. Bruce J.G Kotowich.
hey, Trish.
Spangle?
All right. Hello, Spangle. For you, for your sanities, go to stuffforsanta.com. The most honest businessman in the business, says Sal in Ducato.
There's some truth to that. You are honest, and everybody appreciates that. You always make everything right and try to serve the community, and you've always got the stuff that everybody wants. And I said stuff
Stuff for Santa, and Mrs. Claus, and elves, and Bruce.
Let me read the next one.
Sal.
We want to say thank you to our newest contributor to the TNL
No,
family.
not that one.
Hey, Pat knows his stuff as well as does North Pole Cornerstone.
How about the
We're
star?
doing
She show you where the stars
Comments,
are.
I can't see them.
the star names.
This one.
Hey, we're doing this up by the up.
Hey, Connie says it's a great info so far. Now, Connie says great info so far. I mean, does she think it's going to drop off now?
Folks, remember this is live. No rehearsal.
Yeah, and to what Scott just said, real quick, Pat Moss, we got downtown Saturday night and unloaded. Actually, I guess it started when we was on the bus. We loaded on the bus, and Pat said, "Hey, I've come up with a new chant just for North Pole Cornerstones." And so on the bus ride down and on the boat, Pat would start this chant, and we would all fall in, and it was a lot of fun. And we want to appreciate, let Pat know we appreciate the NPC chant. I'll get it out right in a minute, guys.
And Bob, if you remember, don't let me lead it.
And Bruce AJ wants to know if you'll be at Jingle Joy Retreat.
I'm not sure yet. Hope to.
Bruce got a busy schedule. He kind of has to pick and choose, and don't really know until a few days to a week before if he's going to have time off from his day job. So.
Right. I still have an adult job that I have to be responsible for.
And Trish said, thanks, Bruce. Enjoyed my time with you as well.
Oh, it was a blast. It was so much fun.
Mike Hutchins says he agrees that Patrick's session on Kwanzaa was incredibly informative and helpful to put into perspective as Christmas performers. It really was. It was very unique. Like I said, something I had never seen before, and I think everyone really took a lot away from that.
I just want to jump in here, and I just want to just say about his presentation was, you made it that all of us could take those days of reflection, and you opened up Kwanzaa and invited all of us to be part of it and to put it into our lives. And, I think it brings deeper roots to us celebrating the 12 days of Christmas. So thank you again, Patrick. Thank you.
And, we built Cornerstones off the concept that we wanted it to be very little PowerPoint, very little lecture, but all interactive, breakout into smaller groups. And Pat took away to have each one of those little groups participate in
Yeah.
one great big exercise that taught us all a lot about Kwanzaa.
Sally,
Sal says, I enjoyed hearing Bruce's lectures in full. He had plenty of time to get his lesson in at NP Cornerstones.
Thank you.
Tanya Hampson says NPC is what got me to refer to everyone as the Claus in laws.
Laws and laws, that's what Tanya says, yeah. Back to Mike says, we are grateful for the opportunity to get together at NPC. Thanks, Scott, Bob, Deanna, Judith, for creating a wonderful, safe space and work and play.
Yes.
Tanya says, and frankly, hearing all of these comments about this year's gathering, I am more determined to make it next year.
Well, and Tanya, I haven't had a chance to talk to you. You guys were signed up, but had to back out because of business opportunity, I guess you would say, would be the best way to put it, with your food truck. And we haven't heard how well that went. So maybe drop us a line and let us know how well your food truck was.
The venture went.
Yeah, how it went. And yes, we're looking forward to you guys coming back next year. You're around above.
Trish said, yes, I did win the scholarship, and I certainly appreciate it. I had a fabulous time.
Hey, Trish earned it. She had one of the most, out of the years of being involved in the Santa community, she had one of the most interesting
Application.
And the way it was worded. It was a small essay, and it was exactly what every scholarship application should look like.
AJ says, Bob, where are these scholarships so I can apply? Let's just tell AJ to go back and watch the first 5 minutes of the show.
Well, yeah, and you can go over to the NPC, npcornerstones.com, and
I don't know what's
the
open
two
yet.
scholarships that we gave away this year. I don't know.
I don't think the applications are open yet.
It's not up yet.
I don't think so.
She took it down because they were already taken for this year, but it'll be back up. I'll let everyone know when it's when you can go over and sign up there. Plus, AJ, your name's in the hat for the drawings already from winning the trivia questions.
Rick Maynard, in case you did not hear, Larry sold the insurance business. It is now King Risk Partners.
That's true. He did sell.
He
He
did
didn't sell it all. He sold a portion of it, but it has been sold. And I don't. If that means they're changing the name, I haven't talked to Larry to ask him.
Yes. Okay, we had thousands of followers, and so we went live after our presentation. So much fun, says Sean White.
Trish says, great group. You four are all fabulous. Thank you, Trish.
Mike says it was amazing and an honor being able to sing and perform with you, Bruce. You guys did.
Well,
knocked it out of
likewise.
the ballpark.
Well, Mike is so easy to perform with. It's wonderful. Yeah.
AJ says, great show and nice meeting you, Bruce, in last October.
Yeah. Likewise, AJ.
Oh my goodness, we don't need to read this next one, please. Russell, I'm just giving you a hard time, brother. Dr. Bruce is a wealth of knowledge. We love and appreciate you down here in Texas, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Bruce North says, great show. Good to see Dr. Bruce.
All right. Ted says, thanks, Bruce. Hope to see you at the Red Suit Conclave.
Thank you.
The amazing Patrick Moss says you are quite welcome. It was an honor to be a presenter. Looking forward, bro, next year.
You meant to.
2 next year instead of bro?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I kind of like bro better.
I like bro better, but whatever floats your
That's
boat,
what I thought.
Patrick.
I was like, that's cool.
Tanya Hampton says, our daughter
Total.
totaled our car the weekend we were supposed to be there. Uh-oh. Sorry to hear that, Tanya.
And the
All right. Tanya also says, food truck got out on hold. We'll message you soon, Bob.
Well, thank you, Tanya. And if I say North Pole, you say Cornerstones.
North Pole.
That's how that chant starts.
Yeah.
And at the end, it says the best end, and you say Texas,
Texas.
right? Okay, so thank you, Pat, for that.
All right.
Okay, now then, Spangle, go ahead.
No, we need to thank yous to our newest contributor around the TNL family.
All right, I want to say thank you to Larry Talbot. Now, yes, he has sold the a portion, the majority of the insurance company, but he paid for the StreamYard platform for us this year through the
His insurance.
through his insurance company, Larry Talbot, and that's good.
I talked to him today on the phone still about insurance stuff.
Well,
It's still there.
Thanks from us because we couldn't do it without help from others. Okay, let's reveal tonight's trivia answers. St. Nicholas trivia. The saint's name necklace of Greek origin and means victor of people. Victor of people. And he was said to live 73 years. He was born 270 AD and passed away in 343 AD. Is that correct?
75 years.
73.
It should be 343.
Oh,
Bob got it wrong.
Bob had it wrong.
all right.
So it's 73 years and 343 on the deceased date. Winner?
Mike Hutchings.
Mike Hutchins wins it. How about that? Mike knew that. He didn't even have to research that. Okay, thanks, Mike. Your name goes in the hat for scholarship. StuffPercento.com Christmas movie quote. We needed the movie title and who said it, both the actor's name and the character's name. It's Christmas, Theo. It's a time for miracles. That was in Die Hard, and a lot of folks say, was Die Hard really a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Absolutely it was. There's 6 or 7 key reasons why it was. If you research that, you can find out why. Die Hard, Alan Rickman was the actor, and the character's name, of course, was Hans Gruber, the chief villain in that movie. Winner?
That goes to Mama Trivia.
Mama Trivia gets it. How about that? So Connie gets it, Spangle.
All right. I'm writing the name down.
Fantastic.
Bob, I
Highlighting it.
got a text message from Santa Russell,
Yes?
and I just wanted to tell him one thing real quick,
Okay.
which was, brother, you're a godly man. You will go to heaven. That's based off what he said to me. He said, then we'll let you come to Texas, but I don't want to run you out because at least I still want to go to heaven. But Russell is a very godly man
Yes, he is.
and very humble. And I love you to death, brother. And I appreciate the text. It put a smile on my face.
Russell, I think it goes for all of us. Spangle, what's your closing thoughts, man?
My closing thoughts is I want everybody to remember this.
Leave it to
Closing
Spangle.
thoughts, Spangle.
Oh,
Hey,
my
you know what?
goodness.
I asked for a question. I asked for people to put in their comments today the most humbling experience or the awkward experience, and we got nothing. I just went through and looked at all the messages. So we didn't have a free gift for nobody today for that one.
You deserve it with that final thought.
But Mike Hutchinson just said, Spangle, you put the K in classy.
Okay. Scott, you got a final thought?
Well,
AJ said that was the awkward experience.
Yeah, I think it was.
Well, Bob, my final thought is that I don't know that there's ever been a show that we have done from home, so to speak, instead of on the road, that we've had a guest so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And the comments and just the community that's being built here is really important. And this is something that we need to be grateful for and cherish and cultivate. So everyone, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support. Because we all influence each other. As a teacher, and many of you are teachers, you know that if you don't leave your classroom, your studio, at the end of the day feeling that you've learned something, maybe it's time to go work at a department store. Sorry, no, I'll probably offend someone by saying that, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Find a new profession.
That's it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
But, you know, and if you've never seen Dr. Bruce perform or see Dr. Bruce live, please take the time to find out where he's going to be and go see him. There's since the first time he was on the show and we spoke back in the green room, I never realized we had the connections we do just from his youth or Aaron's youth, I guess would probably be a better thing. But it's just amazing what this man has accomplished in life and where he is. I mean, from being invited to Carnegie Hall to conduct, and I mean, his resume would take you a month to read. It's amazing. And thank you again. That's my final word.
We're honored to have you in our home. And,
This is very
we're
humbling.
missing
Thank you.
one thing tonight.
Okay.
Michael being here in Texas with us.
Well, I thought you were going to be here.
I just left.
Yeah, that's true.
You should have stopped here and hang out for a while, man.
Man, after you told me Scott was coming to town, I got the heck out of there.
So,
So
I drove
true.
4 hours to be here, y'all. So, and Bruce flew 20 hours.
Three hours.
Okay, so I just
His arms are tired.
Thank you, Scott. And Scott brought FNITRAM with him, and as I said, we'll be traveling down to San Antonio tomorrow, and we'll be seeing Spangle soon in Gatlinburg. Hope everyone who's going to make it to Gatlinburg
Come by the booth.
has safe travels.
And come by the booth and see us.
Come by the TNL
doing
booth
some
and see us
live
all.
promotes.
We'll be in one corner of Spangle's area. So you come to see us, you can see Spangle. You come to see Spangle, you come see us. Heidi will be along. The seamstress who Spangle has the suits that he represents from Heidi.
We got a new photo thing happening in Spangle's booth.
Yeah, you got a new photo booth that you brought that you're going to bring down and have fun with it. You had it at the Roundup this weekend here in Texas.
Had it at the
very well.
Roundup.
So a lot of people putting pictures up.
Can we get that?
All right. Be sure to join us next week for our TNL episode, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, there was two things. Santa Chris has put up a couple of things. Spangle, he's asking about TNL swag. You are the TNL swag man now.
She already answered that.
Yes.
Did you? Okay.
I am.
And great show, guys. We love Dr. Bruce. Great voice. I could listen to Bruce read the dictionary and enjoy it.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
All right, where are we at? I got lost here, guys.
Spangle.
All right. Catch Bob and Venus Monday night at 3 p.m.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay,
Scott?
tomorrow night is even more popular with the Kringle Brothers with content you won't want to miss. Kringle time starts at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, streaming on YouTube, Facebook. These are all powered by the TNL network. Let's join Mel on Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, Santa's Magical Fellowship.
Well, since he skipped about half of this, anyhow, thank you, Bruce. We are always excited to have you as our featured guest and you sharing your knowledge. Thanks a bunch again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so we don't want to forget Santa's Magical Fellowship Group on Thursday, starting right after Words This Week. We'll have Santa Jamie and Santa J-Mac, popular. Polar opposites, where hot takes and cool perspectives collide at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. I want to go back and pick up something real quick. My final thoughts for the night. This last Saturday, of course, was March 15th and is known as St. Nicholas Day. St. Nicholas is known as a unifier and admirer across Christian traditions. As Christian bishop who helped the sick and needy, St. Nicholas is a legend from which gift-giving grew. With migration to the New World, new traditions were formed as cultures, Christmas celebrations mixed out of the celebration of St. Nicholas. Santa Claus was born. As professional portrayers of Christians, we should always be mindful of being a giver,
Gigger.
treating each other with respect. What would Santa do? What would Christ do? All right, now then, let's pick it back up down here.
All right. Also, the new season of the Claus Connection, Empowering the North Pole with Sean White, will start April 10th, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. She's the only one that hasn't debuted in the new season. She's at Mamma Mia.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in, kick up your heels, join in the fun for 2025 2025 all powered by the TNL Network production.
That's right. Big thank you, schoolofsantas.com, stuffforsanta.com, Talbot Insurance Services, npcornerstones.com, santanana.com, and nationwidesantas.com. Tell everyone good night, Spangle.
Good night, Spangle.
Tell everyone good night, Scott.
Good night, Scott.
Remember to join us for our next Tuesday Night Live. That was yours. I gave that one to you this week.
Well, I'm looking at these two pictures on the left. I'm getting double vision.
Not your blessings, not your sorrows. May your troubles be small and your blessings be large. Until next time, on behalf of the whole TNL production crew, I'm Santa Bob McMaster saying good night. Hope to see you back here next Tuesday, and come see us on Monday. And don't forget to see us in Gatlinburg. Good night, all. Happy closing. Thanks,
Happy
Bruce.
closing.
Thank you.